So our basketball team, I played 8th grade basketball, and I was probably a 5'1" white dude. So I had NBA written all over me back in the day, right? And my dad wanted me to get ready for the season. My dad liked to drink back in the day. Big time drinker. He's been sober a long time now, but my dad could drink. So my dad said, hey, 8th grade's coming up. You're playing some basketball because you sucked at football. We don't know where this baseball thing's going. You're playing basketball. I'm like, Dad, I'm not sure genetically, DNA-wise, I'm completely qualified to play basketball long term, but we'll do it. So my dad set a hoop up in the backyard. Except when he set the hoop up, and I practiced every day, I'm telling you, every day the summer going into 8th grade, except my dad had some drinks, like a lot of drinks the day that he set the hoop up. And he set it up a foot short, except I never knew that. So I just kept practicing and practicing and practicing on a hoop that was a foot lower than it was supposed to be. So I got a shot you can't even believe from like 9.5-foot hoops, right? So basketball starts, tryouts, only 8 guys try out, so I make the team. But I'm the 8th player. I'm 8. By like 80 spots, I'm 8th, right? If we could have had the ladies play on the team, I'd have not made the team. So long story short, I don't play the first 6 games. I averaged for the season 0 points and 0 rebounds. Let me explain to you why I averaged 0. I did not score a basket the entire season in 8th grade. We're in the championship game against Lorbeer High School. Strep throat runs through our team. That night, I'm so excited because I get to go to my first baseball camp where there's going to be my mom and dad scrimped and saved, and we're going to send me to a baseball camp. First baseball camp in my life. That was my love. That was my sport. And my dad had saved, so all I wanted to do was go to baseball camp. And I went to school that day because I knew if I didn't go to school, my dad wouldn't let me go to baseball camp. And I also that day, I was so excited about it. I'm embarrassed to tell you this, but I was worried about playing baseball. Don't worry about this image. But I was worried that I didn't know how to put my jock strap on correctly. So I went to school that day because baseball camp, my dad wasn't going to make it home from work. So I had my dad show me how to put the jock. So I have no underwear on. I'm wearing a literal jock strap like our chaps with your butt cheeks hanging out the back. If you ladies don't know what I'm talking about, okay? So it's like not a pretty thing. I wore that under my school clothes that day because of the baseball camp. Anyway, 6th period comes along, it's PE. I don't go to PE because I got strep throat. And my dad calls the school, he says, hey, your mom's telling me you're skipping a basketball game. It's the championship. I'm like, well, Dad, I got strep throat. He goes, you don't get to go to baseball camp. You don't go to the damn finals of the basketball game. The best ability is availability. Can you picture my dad, right? I go, okay, Dad, I'll go. The other 2 guys who are on the team don't go because they got strep. So now there's 5 dudes on the team. Guess who has to play in the championship game? Big guy right here. I put my sweats on. We drive to Lorbeer High School. Packed house. Our school, their school, cheerleaders, the band. I haven't scored all year. I never even really play. Everybody takes off their jumpsuits. I take off my jumpsuit, run out, get into the layup line. I'm in the layup line. It's a little chilly, but I'm still in the layup line. I run in the layup line. I run through, I get my first pass. Boom, brick the first layup. I'm running by, I'm hearing everybody laughing. And then my guys are like, oh my God, Eddie! And I'm like, what's up? And I look down and I have my shirt on my children, my shirt on and my jock strap and tennis shoes and socks. That's what I'm wearing. In the layup line. Dead true story. Picture that. Shoes, socks, jock strap, tank top. Brick the first layup. And everyone's like, what? And I can hear the whole, whoa! Everyone's, look at this guy, oh my God! And so I literally, Coach Lindsay, Ed Lindsay, get over here, and we run. And the whole team makes a circle around me. They're like, find him some shorts. Who's got some shorts? They find some shorts in the bag, and I put the damn shorts on. Can you imagine the terror of a little boy? The whole school saw it. The whole Chaparral Cougar school saw my ass in a jock strap. So I went the whole game, scored 0 points. I got fouled with 2 seconds left in the game. We're down by 1. I got 2 free throws. I can't get my damn mind off the jockstrap horror film that took place about an hour ago. So on top of the jockstrap, I airball the first free throw, and I brick the second one, and we lose the junior high championship on top of it. It was a bad day, man. It was a bad day, right? It's like something you would dream about that would literally actually never happen. To this day, you guys, I have nightmares when I'm at the gym. I always check. I always look down. I swear to you. Middle of workouts, I'm like, okay, all right, got it. I'm always afraid. Why do I tell you that story? Because I'm about to tell you something that's going to change your life. That night, I went to baseball camp. The worst day of my life became one of the best days of my life. People ask me all the time, how do you think you became sort of a relatively confident guy with this great upbringing you had? Because I had a strong dad. And every time in my life that's come along, when there's a mentor that showed up, someone better than me that's ahead, God put him in my life and I took advantage of it. Whether that was Rich Thawley or Tony Robbins or various other people in my life. And this one man altered the direction of my life. I'm going to tell you about it. I went to baseball camp that night. night. And it was called Angel Country Baseball Camp. And I used to bat like this, with the bat really flat, like this, kind of just like this. Pitch would come in, boom, the bat was flat. And the reason I did that is my hero for the Angels is a guy named Rod Carew. How many of you know who Rod Carew is? You'll know in a minute if you don't. Rod Carew is a Hall of Fame baseball player. Played the wrong video. Hall of Fame baseball player, one of the greatest hitters of all time. And I'm in the cage, I'm hitting like this, and behind me, I hear a man say, "Who's the little lefty? Who's the little lefty?" And they go, "Oh, that's little Eddie." And I hear him talking, and I hit another one, line drive up the middle. Line drive up the middle. Now, all I'm thinking about is what had happened to me that day. I'm still wearing the same jock strap, by the way. Okay? Line drive up the middle. Just one of those dream moments, right? And the guy goes, "I like this kid's swing." And I look and they turn into the batting cage, and guess who's standing there? Rod Carew, number 29. And he goes, "Hey, kid, where'd you learn to hit like that?" I said, "Oh, my God." I said, "I learned by watching you." He goes, "Let's hit a few more." And he stood, the great Rod Carew, stood right there. He goes, "Let's hit a few more." He goes, "I like your swing." He goes, "Flatten the bat out a little bit. Spread your right foot out. Open your toe." I'm going, "That's Rod Carew." And he goes, "You're good. You're really good. I think you could be a great player someday." And he didn't stop at that. He said, "In fact, would you like me to work with you?" I went, "Yes." He goes, "Well, here's what I do. When I'm in town on Tuesday nights, they come over to my cages and I work with about 5-6 guys just like you. I'd love to work with you. Can you be there next Tuesday?" Yes, sir. I could be there. And for the next 5 years of my life, my baseball mentor, my life mentor became Rod Carew. And I'd sit in the batting cage with Rod. I'd sit in the cage with Rod, and he'd tell me exactly what to do. But on that, he goes, "You're out working everybody, buddy. You're going to do something great someday. With your work ethic, you're going to do something great. You're going to be a great college player." Every Tuesday he was in town, every Tuesday for years. And this man took this shy boy who had just had that experience in baseball over the next 5 years, constantly loved on me, constantly told me how great I was, constantly told me he believed it. And because of what a powerful example he was, when you have one of the 5 greatest hitters in the history of baseball tell you you're great, you believe it. And he didn't just make it about baseball, he made it about life and what a good boy I was, and now I got good grades and I treated my parents well. And when I found out about Rod, is he's one of these special souls that I was one of thousands and thousands of children that he took an interest in, which is why when I graduated college, my first job was at a group home working with kids. I wanted to be just like Rod when my baseball career ended. He poured belief into me, confidence. I started to walk different, think different. I thought I was special. The power of mentors in your life who love you and believe in you. And Rod did this over and over and over again. And then many years after I knew Rod, I'm going to Elmo, his little daughter. This is how you sow seeds in your life. See, all these calls you're making, all the phone calls, all the contacts, they don't feel like it's paying off right now, but you're planting seeds like in the parable of the sower. The wind's going to get a few, the rain's going to get a few, the birds are going to get a few, but eventually there's a harvest in a way that you can't even imagine. And Rod, for years, in addition to being this great player, was a better man, and he sowed seeds into kids over and over and over. A wonderful soul. He's from Panama. He wasn't even born here. He's a beautiful man. And then many years after I knew them, his little girl, Michelle, I became very close with. Michelle was a little 5-year-old little girl that used to sit behind the cage with her mama and watch us every week. And when Michelle turned 16, she got leukemia. And she lost her battle with leukemia when she was 16. At the time, it was a national story. This is April 18th, 1996. You're about to get blown away. April 18th, 1996, my great mentor, the man who believed in me, that changed, how's a little dude like me end up playing baseball at that level? Because of that belief. How did I do well in business? Because right after Rod Carew came Rich Thawley and Tony Robbins, these people who believed in me. And so it says, Michelle Carew, the daughter of Baseball Hall of Famer Rod Carew, who waged a 7-year battle with leukemia that sparked international outpouring of support and a surge in pool, listen, of potential donors, died Wednesday morning. She was 18. Their family was destroyed. I want you to watch Rod's quote when it happened. This is 1996. I can't make this up. Although we have lost Michelle, we can take solace in the fact because of her, many lives have already been saved by the increase in marrow transplants performed in the week subsequent to our appeal because of donors. The usually taciturn Carew had pleaded for people across the country, this is in 1996, to sign up as potential donors. Donors. Remember that word. Donors. When his daughter passes away, he turned it into a victory. Worst day of his life became the best day of his life. Donors. Sowing seeds. Doesn't know when you're going to harvest it. He has He saw how few African Americans and other minorities were registered for the National Donor Program. Within a few weeks, he began a public awareness campaign after her death. More than 70,000 calls for donors were generated. 2 million increase in donors were made across the country. That's absolutely awesome, said Carew. It's the initiative we've been waiting for. And then it shows you that the hospital's personnel sobbed and exchanged hugs during the news conference. He took the news conference of her death and turned it into a donor drive. After that, he started a foundation called the 29 Foundation after his baseball number.
Do my job and handle my business. But I got that from back when I was staying out late at night. My ability to talk to large groups of people who I do not know come from me having to get out of so many lies I had got myself into that I became comfortable doing that business. So coming out here telling the truth, pretty easy. The fact that I could fight you at the drop of a dime back then comes in handy because now I'm a Christian, but there's limits to it. So I don't, look, it's only so much I can take. Then after that, you're going to get off of me. It comes in handy because I'm busy. I don't have time for everybody. People stop me all the time. Steve, I need a picture. I need an autograph. I'm going somewhere. All I want is a picture. I can't stop every time somebody want a picture. How would you like if everywhere you went, somebody stopped you and wanted a picture? How many picture requests I get a day? I can't think of a day somebody ain't asked me for a picture, asked me for something. How would you like it if you was just going somewhere and here comes, and now y'all got video cameras. Y'all just pull them out and here they go. Somebody films me every day, and I'm not even aware. I just look over there, and my boy go, man, step behind me. She over there filming. I get that every day. How would you like that? So, being a former fighter, I was in the store the other day. Probably, let me see if I can tell this. Okay, I got off the plane. I came to Dallas yesterday. I get up and I'm in a stop in a store. We come from the airport. I got to get some water. I go in the store. This brother come up to me. He ain't got hardly all his teeth. He come up to me. He little muscular dude. He come up, Steve Harvey, what's up? So I say, hey man, how you doing? You ain't got no bodyguard? I'm 6'2", I weigh 235. Now I ain't no bad man, but I used to box. So now, you ain't got all your teeth, so you ain't real healthy. You have a little alcoholic aroma to you. I don't drink, so I figure we good. However this gonna be good. But it's because of what I was that God has changed. Now, it used to be, I just turn around, start swinging, it'd be on and cracking. But now God changed that. But see, what it caused me to realize was I was who I was, but I am who I am, and I'm cool with both of them.
So you've got to be willing to stay focused, to be creative, to be relentless, because things are going to happen to you when you're working on your dream, when you get on track. I remember when I first got involved in speaking, one of the main things that speakers like to do is speak to a certain association that they have over 10,000 of their sales reps that come to this convention. And I was relentless. I kept saying, it's possible. It's possible. See, what I wanted to let you know and set you up for, because you said it's possible, don't mean that you're not going to have any problems. That Murphy's Law ain't gonna come and slap you side the head. Oh, Murphy gonna come visit you. He's waiting for some of y'all out in the parking lot. Oh, you say it's possible. Okay, it's possible. You better get up. Well, I was working. I kept saying it's possible. They got other speakers on this program. I can be on that program too. I kept selling myself. I got all fired up. And I was calling them every day. And the lady finally said, Mr. Brown, I tell you what, we want you to come in and talk to our sales executives. You got the kind of fire and guts that they want that will motivate them. And let me tell you something else. We want you to bring your motivational tape. You're going to need at least $50,000 worth of tapes. I said, is that right? Yes, because they want to keep that drive alive. I said, all right. I called the guy to duplicate my tapes. I said, Don, how you doing? This is Les. Let me tell you, I got a major speaking engagement. I said, man, it's a speaker's dream. I need over $50,000 worth of product. He said, Les, you don't have that kind of credit. I said, I know, but Don, I can sell that. Just right after speaking engagement, I'll give you your money in 4 days. He said, are you sure, Les? I said, yes, man, I got a major speaking engagement, and they told me to do it. He said, man, that's a big order. Let me talk with the lady with you. I said, hold on just a minute, man. Call the lady back. Hello, Evelyn, how you doing? This is Les Brown. I got Don on the phone. What did you say? Do I have the speaking engagement? Yes, you do. And what else you suggest? Les, our people, they buy a lot of tapes. Your tapes are very popular among them. I'm saying bring at least $50,000 worth of tapes, Les. You'll sell everything you got and more. I said, did you hear that, Don? He said, yes. I said, now, if anybody else has to make a decision, are you the final person? She said, I'm the final person. I will send you the contract. I want you. I said, you hear that, Don? He said, yes. I said, oh, ye of little faith. I said, duplicate the tapes, man. Hunk the phone up. Well, he duplicated the tapes. 1 week came by. I'm checking the mail every day. No contract. I said, come on, Murphy, don't start nothing. Come on, man, give me a break. Come on, you know, stay fair. Come on, man. Give your boy a break. Come on. I talked to myself, you know. I didn't want to call him right then. 2 weeks passed by. Murphy said, don't you think you ought to call him? I said, okay. I called. I said, hello, this is Les Brown calling. How you doing, Les? I said, fine. I said, Evelyn hasn't sent my contract out yet. Any additional information you need? So, Les, you haven't heard? I said, no. I said, Evelyn died. I said, she died? I said, did she say anything about me? When I got home, I was so wiped out. And Murphy was in the house waiting on me. Murphy said, is it possible you want to listen to some of your tapes?
The spiritual part. I'm an amateur on the spiritual side. I do happen to believe that human beings are more than just an advanced life form, an advanced species of the animal kingdom. I do believe humans are a special creation. That's just my personal belief, and I don't ask you to buy it. But here's what I do ask you to buy. If you do believe in spirituality in any manner, here's my best advice. Study it and practice it. Do not neglect your values. Do not neglect your virtue. If you do believe in spirituality, my advice is study it and practice it. Don't let it go unstudied. Don't let it go unnourished. If you do believe, that's my best advice on the spiritual. Now here's the third part, the mental side. Part of this personal development challenge is to develop mentally. Learn, study, grow, change. It's what schooling is all about. And the human development takes time, incredible amounts of time. That's why we've taken the time for this seminar. It just takes time. Some things you can't cover in a 20-minute speech. You can't cover in a little 5-minute talk. It takes time. For humans, it seem like more time than any other life form, human being. The little wildebeest in Africa. Guess how much time it's got as soon as it's born to be able to run with the pack so it doesn't get eaten by the lions? Guess how much time it's got? A few minutes. As soon as the little wildebeest is born, tries to stand up, falls down. Its mother nudges it, gets stand back up, falls back down. Finally, on little shaky legs, it tries to nurse. Mother pushes it away. She moves away, so it can't nurse. Why? You can't nurse now. You got to develop some strength now. The lions. Falls down, gets back up, tries to nurse. Mother pushes it away. No, you got to get these legs strong. How much time have we got? Not much time. Mama wildebeest says, not much time. Not hours, not days, minutes. Wow. But the human baby, wow. After 16 years, we're not sure. Unbelievable amount of time it takes. So it does take time for personal development. It does take time for spiritual development, physical development. But here's also what takes time, and that's your mental development. Feeding the mind, nourishing the mind. Some people read so little, they got rickets of the mind. They couldn't give you a good, strong argument as to their own personal belief. Here's one of the challenges we've got as parents, and that is to get our kids ready to debate the major life issues of the 90s. They've got to get ready to debate. We've spent this last couple of decades debating communism. Communism taught capital belongs in the hands of the state. We've been teaching, no, capital belongs in the hands of the people. Communism taught people are too dumb and stupid to know what to do with capital. You've got to take capital away from all the dumb, stupid people and give it to the all-knowing, all-wise state. And let the state run everything and let the people meekly show up for their work assignment. All glory to the state, communism taught. Kid says, well, is that right? No, all glory to the people. Let the state be the servant of the people, not the people be the servant. Hey. I'm telling you, you got to be able to pick up those ideologies. You got to be able to pick up the philosophy. And here's the next part. You got to be able to defend it. If you can't defend your virtues and if you can't defend your values, I'm telling you, even in the 90s, you'll fall prey to philosophies that are not in your best interest. And we've got to help our teenagers. We've got to help our kids especially to be able to debate the major life issues, the political issues and the social issues and the religious issues and the spiritual issues and the nutritional issues and the economic issues and all of the rest of the issues that are valuable for us to build the kind of equities we want. You got to get yourself ready.
I had to begin to focus on what was the solution. That this was not the only place that I'll be able to sell those products. And as I began to challenge myself and got some help and support and some other input, I eventually did. It took longer, but it was challenging. But I did it. Repeat after me, please. No matter how bad it is, or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you got that right. Repeat after me, please. It's possible. I can have my dream. I can get what I want. I must be creative and never give up. Now, let me share something else with you, ladies and gentlemen. When you know within yourself that there's something you want to do, and I believe that all of us were born with a purpose, that all of us have something that we are supposed to do, that all of us have some goodness within us, and that goodness gives us a responsibility to manifest our greatness. And when you know that, you can feel it in your guts, and you know that you're deliberately operating below your potential. You've gotten comfortable. You stop expanding. You stop stretching. You stop challenging yourself. Let me share something else with you. Not only is it possible for you to have your dream, but it's necessary. It's necessary that you have it, that you work on it, that you develop yourself, that you go for what is yours in the universe. I have a friend that at the beginning of the year, I was in Los Angeles giving a speech, and I do a seminar teaching people how to become involved in the speaking business, and also one called Speaking with Power, teaching people how to begin to develop their communication skills. And this friend, I said, I want you to work with me. I called her up. She said, Les, are you sure I can do it? Sure you can. You have a PhD in communications. I don't have that. If I can do it, sure you can do it. In fact, I'm going to give you the support that you need. Here's what I realize, ladies and gentlemen. We only have enough energy to take us to a certain level. But it's necessary that we assemble ourselves with other people who share our vision, other people that can see it for us, to give ourselves a home court advantage. So it's necessary that you seek out other people who think like you, who are growing, who've decided that they are not satisfied with where they are. See, I don't believe that necessity is the mother of invention. No, necessity, in my opinion, is not the mother of invention. Refusing to accept things the way that they are is the mother of invention. When you decide, I'm not going to settle for this, this is not going to be it for my life, I deserve more than this. See, that will start making you do some stuff. See, a lot of people go to work every day miserable, and all they do is just talk about how miserable they are, but they don't do anything about it. So I was telling her that I knew she hated her job with a passion. I said, you can do this. You got more going for you than I have going for me. And we've been going through this for years, ladies and gentlemen. She'd been to my seminar speaking for a living. She brought her husband, and that was one of the major problems that I realized that happened in her life. He couldn't see it for her. So you got to make sure that you have people in your life that can see it for you, that will encourage you. Non-affirming relationships can hurt you. And I talked to him. I said, I don't have anything to do with your marriage. I said, you and I are good friends, and she and I are good friends. And I'm not taking sides. I said, but if you can't see it for her, don't tell her that. Just give her some support. What if you're wrong? It's possible, man, that if I'm doing it, she can do it. Well, you're different. How are you going to tell me that? You've seen her speak. She's got great speaking skills. Don't underestimate her. You don't know. You got a great woman here. But you see, people who can't see it for themselves can't see it for you. He was happy. So I said, will you do it with me? I said, I'm going to give you the support you need. You can't do it by yourself. I will stand with you. She said, you will? I said, yes. I'm going to make you a part of my seminar. You'll do a part of it, and I'll do a part of it. Speaking with Power. She said, okay. 3 days later, ladies and gentlemen, I got an emergency call at my office. It was from her husband. He called and said, tell Les Brown that Marion is dead. I said, oh no. When I was flying there to go to the funeral, and I remember the last time that I saw her, and I had some of her papers that I had gotten inadvertently confused with mine, and I took them home. And I was searching through these papers to do one of her works. She was a prolific writer. And what got me, what was so sad that made me begin to cry, was that there were poems that she had started that were profound poems, great thoughts that she didn't complete. Plays that she had started that she didn't complete. See, that poem was given to her. I can't finish that for her, nor can you. That play, whatever the outcome that she had envisioned, that she had imagined, was given to her. Only her. And that she's the channel that was going to come through. You are here, and you are the vessel, you are the outlet for the universe. That you've been selected. There's something for you to do. I believe all of us have some purpose for being here. And as I was going to the funeral, and I was reading a newspaper that said that millions of people are dying because of what they're eating, talking about their diet. And I'm sure that it was Marion talking to me, whispering, saying, Les, the next time you speak, say that even more are dying because of what's eating them.
Are you ready for something miraculous? One of the little boys that Rod Carew mentored was a guy named Conrad Rohn. Conrad Rohn was an NFL football player eventually. Rod met him when he was a little boy, the same age when he met me. Conrad was the same age when he met me. And he took an interest in Conrad and believed in him. And Conrad went on to play for the Ravens and other NFL teams. He was in his off season. He was working out at the gym. Rod hadn't seen him in many, many years. He felt a click behind his right eye. He called his brother and said, I think something's wrong. His dad said, we feared it was an aneurysm. Are you ready? This is a little boy that Rod Carew mentor. At the same time that happened, Rod had a massive heart attack on a golf course and nearly died. At the same time, he nearly died. Thank God he was on the first hole and they were able to resuscitate him. And he was left with a few days to live. While Rod was in the hospital, Conrad passed away. Conrad donated a heart. Conrad was 29 years old. That heart saved Rod Carews' life, and he's still alive today. So, the lesson from that is that there's a payoff, and even if there wasn't, you should do it. But the investment of belief in people, sowing seeds of belief, that's what makes you a leader. People say, what makes me a leader? Makes you a leader is your example. What makes you a leader is you investing belief and loving and caring about people. Any one of you in this moment could decide you're going to lead, because leadership is instilling something in someone that they don't see in themselves. Loving on them, believing them, seeing their giftedness. All of you, I don't care if you're loud or quiet, big here or small here, you could be a leader. The bottom line is you need to decide you want to lead. You need to decide it's worth it. Our company's looking for leaders, and it's about your destiny. If you invest in enough people, there's a payoff for your destiny. I'm telling you right now, the more I'm here, the longer I'm here, my heart knows we're a company of destiny. We're a company where dreams come true. We're a company that stands for something. We're a company that changes lives. We're a company where dreams happen for people. You got to believe that. You got to believe you got a destiny. I hope you're hearing those people sitting with you saying, you can do this. You belong here. This is where you belong. This is where you can make it. I want to talk to you about becoming a leader for a second. You got to feel and know you're going to lead. It's not just going to happen. You have to make it happen. A few things you need to know is, listen, no one's going to do anything for you. A couple rules of being a real leader. You need to take responsibility for your own life. Bringing energy to your team. Leading in recruiting. Leading in leadership. Leading in growth. Nobody owes you anything, but you owe other people everything. That's what a leader does. You take responsibility. You know exactly right now what you're not doing. It would be criminal of you to leave here and say, I don't know what to do. You know exactly what you're afraid of. You know exactly what you've been avoiding, and you got to make a decision to change it. You know exactly what it is. Don't BS anybody. You know what you need to do different. You know the changes you need to make, and if you can do that and stop kidding yourself, you can win. You can overcome your fear, overcome procrastination, whatever that is. You know exactly what it is. Number two, you got to compete. I agree with what Monty said yesterday. You don't have to be number one, but dadgummit, you better want to compete to be the best version of you you could possibly be. Your desire and will to win is everything. I believe you win with intangibles, with emotion, with energy, with passion. And you got to bring that. You know what we're really looking for right here? We're looking for some dogs, man, some road dogs. We're looking for some people that want to get aggressive. How many road dogs we got out there? You know what I mean, right? I hear ladies go sometimes, some of the guys who, I don't know if I got a road dog in me. Ladies, let me tell you something. The hardest core road dogs in the world are women. Hey, ladies, here's how we know. What if someone messed with your kid at school? You know how you get? You slap the hell out of a little kid if you have to, don't you? You don't give a crap. Well, guess what, ladies? Listen to me. You're letting the world slap the hell out of your family, and you're not doing anything about it. You're letting life slap the hell out of your kids and you. You're settling for average, aren't you? You're settling for ordinary, aren't you? See, you may not see the slap, but you can feel it. You need to stop letting the world slap your family around. It's time that stops right now. You say, that's the end of this. This family wins now. I'm leading this family. Change happens now. Say yes.
Stop letting people hold you to your past. Yeah, man, I got what I used to do, but I'm trying to do better now. Stop letting people tie you to what they saw you do 5, 10 years ago. You can go on the internet and say whatever you want to say about me in the past. Got all that. Was who I was, but I am who I am, and I'm cool with both of them people. You got to be not all right to get all right. You got to be lost to get saved. You got to have been through something to know something. So please, get comfortable with that get comfortable with that part. I don't know what I'm doing on time, so I'm just going to go ahead. Okay, cool. Here we go. This is the one I really wanted to do because this one describes my life to the T. When I left college, I flunked out of college after 3 years. When I worked at Ford Motor Company, one of the last jobs I had because of the layoffs was they put me in the foundry. I learned a valuable lesson in the foundry because I used to be a foundry worker at Ford Motor Company. I'm now a spokesperson for Ford. Let me tell you how the flip went. A lot of people don't know, but in the foundry, they was making engine blocks. Engine blocks start with scrap metal. See, people, you think old cars just go away. No, they go to junkyards. Companies take this scrap metal and they melt the metal down. But it starts with scrap. They run it through a furnace, and when it gets in the furnace, they liquefy the metal. Then they take this metal and they pour it into a mold. This mold is the engine block. But when you pour it in there, it's just hot. It's just hot. It ain't nothing. And you think that you can't do nothing with that. But then something comes along and gets a hold of it. Something comes and gets a hold of it. It takes this hot piece of mess that was scrap. It lifts it. It dips it. It cools it. It refinishes it. It hardens it. And then it puts it on a conveyor belt. When it come out the conveyor belt, my job was to hit it with a sludge hammer and knock the loose flashing out. That's empty, extra metal on it. And then you have an engine block. The basic of any engine is the block. You got a cracked block, you can throw that engine away. It don't work. But the block starts from scrap metal. This really how God do it, though. See, God takes scrap. All engine blocks is scrap. He takes scrap. Come on, Steve. Come on. He mold it. He pour into it. Then it come out, he cool it, he shape, and he start putting stuff on it. He start attaching pieces to it. He put a manifold on it. He put the rocker arm on it. He put the exhaust on it. He put spark plugs on it. He put a carburetor on it. He put a fan belt, water pump, and he take it and he put it in a car. But all of it started when it was a piece of scrap metal, man. We cannot do as Christians is just cause we the car now. You can't look at the dude that's in the furnace that's just wet liquid. That's a hot mess. You can't look back at the scrap pile and go, they just scraps, man. Because what you don't understand is you got to have that scrap so you can make a block, so God can put stuff on it. So when you put it on it, you can be a car one day. I just want everybody to let everybody be a block, man. Let them be a hot mess in a furnace. Let them be a scrap, man. You ain't got nothing to do with that. That's God right there, man. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all.
You got to get ready mentally. And this is where Shof went to work on me, to be ready mentally, to develop the philosophy and also be able to defend your virtues and your values. Let's go through it. You need a good library. Shof got me started on my library. Here's one of the books he recommended. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich. Shof said to me, doesn't that book and title intrigue you? Think and Grow Rich. Don't you have to read that book? Think and Grow Rich. I said, yes, sir. By Napoleon Hill. I went and found that book in a used bookstore. That's where I had to start. In a used bookstore. I paid less than 50 cents for it. I've still got it. It's one of the rare hardback covers. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Wow, Shof was right. Get a library started. It'll change your life. Any home over $200,000 has got a library. Why do you suppose that is? Wouldn't that make you curious? How come every home over $200,000 has got a library? Does that tell you something? Does that educate you at all? You say, well, I can't afford a $200,000 home. It doesn't matter what size home. Take your present apartment, clean out a closet, call it your library, and start acting intelligent. And start this process like I did. Start developing a library. Here's what your library needs to show: that you're a serious student of health and life, spirituality, culture, uniqueness, sophistication, economics, prosperity, productivity, sales, management, skills, values of all kinds. Let your library show you're a serious student. Don't be casual in learning. Don't be lazy in learning. Information is the key. Okay? Learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of health. Learning is the beginning of prosperity. Learning is the beginning of democracy, the beginning of freedom. All values, all virtues start with the learning process. So don't be lazy in learning. Don't be lazy in gathering the library that'll teach you and instruct you. And I got that book, Think and Grow Rich. Some of the ideas in that book inspired me no end, helped me to change my life. Now, it's got some weird stuff in it. It's got some weird stuff. Napoleon was weird, so you gotta separate out a little of this weird stuff. But you can do that. You can separate out the weird stuff, okay? Unless you're weird, just do the weird stuff. Anyway, remember, don't be a follower, be a student. That's the key to all books. Don't be a follower, be a student. Another book he recommended, Help Me Become Financially Independent. We're going to cover that before we finish this afternoon. The book was entitled The Richest Man in Babylon. The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason, C-L-A-S-O-N. This little book, The Richest Man in Babylon, I use it as a textbook, teaching teenagers how to be rich by 40, living in America. 35 if you're extra bright, much sooner if you find a unique opportunity. I got rich by the time I was 31, didn't wait till 35. You find a unique opportunity. So we'll get into that after we come back from our next break. Richest Man in Babylon. Get your library started. Here are some key sections to put in your library called mental food. In fact, we call it food for thought. It's so important to nourish the mind, not just the body, but nourish the mind. Key phrase. Now it needs to be well balanced. You can't live on mental candy. Somebody says, well, I just read this positive stuff. That's too second grade. You've got to get out of second grade. You can't just be inspired. You've got to be taught. You can't just be inspired. You've got to be educated. Key. Here's a good book. It's called How to Read a Book. Good title. How to Read a Book by Mortimer Adler. In this book, How to Read a Book, Mortimer, you know, is the chief editor of the new Encyclopedia Britannica. A good set of books, right, to have in your library. The Encyclopedia Britannica, chief editor, Mortimer Adler. He's in his 80s. He's still active, still writing books. I've got several of his books. The 6 Great Ideas, a lot of books. Mortimer Adler. But he wrote this book, How to Read a Book. Now, in this book, How to Read a Book, not only does he give you some good suggestions on how to get the most out of a book. It's one thing to read it. It's another thing to get the best out of it. He'll give you some techniques on how to get the best out of a book. It's very good. But here's what's also in his book, How to Read a Book. A list of what he calls the best writings ever written. The best writings ever written. I've used it as a centerpiece for my library. So I'm just asking you, take a look. If it suits you, fine. If it doesn't suit you, hey, keep looking till you find something to suit you. But well balanced. Let me give you some of that balance. Number 1, history. We've all got to have a sense of history. American history, national history, international history, family history, political history. We all need a sense of history. Shortest history lesson. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. No matter how far back you go, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, I'm telling you, it all reads the same. Once you understand the thread that it isn't going to change, then what's going to change for my life? Answer, looks like I'm going to have to change. History helps us to understand how it is, what there is to work with, seed, soil, sunshine, rain, and what human beings have done with it in the past, and how many of them have, like I did by age 25, they have messed up. That's what history's for. Be a good student of history. Here's a good book, Lessons of History by Durand. Lessons of History by Durand. This little book is only 100 pages, but I'm telling you, it's so well written, you'll be intrigued, as I was. This little book, Lessons of History by Durand. Next is philosophy. Durand also wrote a good book on philosophy. The Story of Philosophy. It's got a good rundown of the key philosophers of the last several hundred years, what they taught and some of the lives they lived. You might find it a little difficult, but hey, you can't just read the easy stuff. Key phrase to add here in parentheses, don't just read the easy stuff. You won't grow. You won't change. You won't develop. Tackle the more difficult stuff. Next, novels. Novels are good. Sometimes an intriguing story keeps our attention so that the author can weave in the philosophy he or she is trying to get across. Ayn Rand was probably better at that than anybody else I could possibly think of. Atlas Shrugged, some of those towering novels. The novel kept us intrigued, but guess what she was doing all the time? Feeding us her philosophy, feeding us her philosophy. Now, whether you agreed with her philosophy or not, you had to admit she was really good at getting it out there, weaving it through the story, in the dialogue and in the speeches and in the text. Novels are good. Now, here's a little personal advice. Skip the trash. Somebody says, well, sometimes you can find something valuable in a trashy novel. I wouldn't go through it to find it. You can find a crust of bread in a garbage can, but I wouldn't go through it. Number 1, you don't need the reputation. So, not enough time to read the brilliant stuff, the good stuff. Skip the trash, really. My personal advice on personal development, becoming more valuable than you are.